Hello and welcome to StoryFellas, the podcast where we make stories and we break stories. I'm your host, Tommy Antonucci,
And I'm your host, Zach Lovelace.
and we're going back to the classics. We're telling a traditional story like we used to.
Yes, you guys got so bored and tired of us just going off the rails on Ultraman, and we got all your fan mail, and now we're back to the bread and butter, man. You're going to hear a story today.
We actually got so much fan mail saying only talk about Ultraman from here on out. Please don't ever talk about anything besides Ultraman.
We said no.
Well, we're talking about Ultraman right now, so I don't know
true.
what that means.
No. Yeah. That's fair.
We got our one Ultraman sponsor.
No, I did just see that Ultraman Rising, the movie that we reviewed just a couple episodes ago, folks. If you are interested, we gave it some really good criticism, but it's number 2 on Netflix right now. Like the director posted that, so it's good for them. Great for them. But you need to go check out our review to really understand the movie. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
there's just you're not going to really appreciate it if you don't understand, like, what the story.
Know what's going on?
Yeah.
What are the story fellas saying? That's what everyone wants to know.
What are they saying? Those two guys, what are they really saying? You don't know unless you go check out that episode. So anyway.
You don't know. But before we get too deep into stories, Zach, how's life been? I feel like we've not done cold open in a while.
That's fair. Life is really good. Life is very busy. I was telling you before we got on the mic that I feel like I've got 3 jobs, just cranking on things. The documentary, which is somewhat like of a captain's log, these cold opens that we do on the documentary, that it is coming around the bend, and I'm having to deal with a little bit of post-production shuffle of personnel, but we got some drone footage shot yesterday, which was really good.
Nice.
So some kind of finishing touches. Our drone guy actually got stopped by the police outside the hospital, and they were like, "What are you doing?" And he was able to run away.
I just imagine it's like Aladdin, where you're like, hand me the card, the SD card, and then I'll pull you up. And he's like, okay, here it is. And then you kick the guy down and the cops catch him. You're like, officer, I have no idea who this man is. Arrest him.
Yeah, I know. He's a stinking drone guy. Come on. Ew.
No,
what are you doing with that drone? No, drone stuff is really cool. I think it is overdone in terms of like documentaries and stuff, but we have a little bit of a motivation in our thing. It's not just purely drone footage for drone footage's sake. It's actually a recreation of a helicopter drive or ride, or however you describe helicopters flying.
You want to hear my drone footage rant, man?
Oh, I didn't know you had one. Yeah,
I have one. I've got one right here in my pocket.
Okay.
Drone footage is good, but I talked with a guy I worked with a long time ago, and he was saying, before drones were easily accessible, no one had drone footage, and now drones are here, and everyone feels like it's got to be thrown in everything. But him and me, and I think a lot of other people have the perspective. I think drone footage is nice. It's a nice like little cherry on top of your piece. But if I'm looking at drone footage for more than like 10 seconds, I start getting bored.
Yes.
Like it's really for transitions. It's really to set the scene.
Yes.
And like people, and I have a drone and I get it, and it is useful in those, like it's establishing the shot and stuff. But I think some people go a little heavy on drone footage, and they're like, let's just drone, everything's drone.
Yes.
And,
looking at the footage, it's unreal. It actually starts to look like a video game a little bit, because it's a perspective you're not used to seeing of buildings and stuff like that. And you just have no real sense of scale. And I got some of the footage yesterday and was looking at it. I was like, it looks like it belongs in a video game, which I guess is a testament to video games. But so I think there's some factor in that too, that there's no one to latch onto. There's no character. You're just looking at a setting. So all it can ever really do is set up where someone's going to be. But you see it way too much in too many things, and hopefully that's not the case with our story. Like I said, we have a little bit more of a motivation.
No, I'm sure. If you use it in the right moments, it's really key. It's really choice.
Yeah, you actually saw some of my documentary last night. We were doing a Zoom call, and
it's actually very good, folks. I only saw a few. Actually, well, I say that because I hadn't seen like actual full snippets.
Yeah, no,
of it yet,
I cued you in on it, and you'll probably end up being one of our first test screen guys, like for story's sake. Obviously, I want you to.
But it flowed well. The interview seemed nice. I didn't see a ton of it, but I'm excited. I'm very excited to see the whole thing now. So you guys, whenever it drops, you gotta go check
we'll
it
be
out.
talking about it
We'll
on
keep
here
you posted.
and everywhere else. So I digress. How are you, Tommy?
I'm good. I don't have a documentary in the works, but I'm helping getting the StoryFellas process a bit more smooth so that we can
Always.
hopefully have some more clips down the line.
Yeah,
Just
we love our
enhancing
clips.
this.
Hey, go check out our TikTok, folks. It'll be in the show
Yeah.
notes. That's
Yep.
all I got to
It
say
will
about
be.
it.
Yeah, check out the show notes. We've got all sorts of links. If you're listening to this, you can see our faces on YouTube. Or you can see clips on stuff. You can go check
Mhm.
out the Instagram because Zach makes some really cool artwork that supports the show. There's lots
I
of little
doodle. I do some
goodies.
doodles. No,
He
no,
doodles.
no,
No,
it's
he's using
AI.
some cool AI generated stuff that always looks super cool. So we got all sorts of goodies.
Yeah,
So
man.
go check it out. But yeah, besides that, nothing too crazy. Gonna visit some family soon for some holidays, which is nice.
Cool.
And past that, just trying to build good habits that generate making stuff, like
Oh yeah.
making, because I think I'm more of a guy like we talked about this, and we'll talk your ear off if we go too down the road. But Zach's very good at being a visionary. Like he sees like a thing and he pursues it. I'm much more structure based, like
Oh yeah.
managerial. So I think for me to pursue those things, like while you just have that natural drive of like, I see this thing, I'm just going to chase after it. I think I would probably be better in saying like, okay, I'm going to build a routine like twice a week. I'm going to have a writing block and I
Oh yeah.
sit down and I write, like do more the tiny breadcrumbs that add up to something big rather than see the big thing and like climb the ladder to it. So
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to experiment with that and
You
see
do
if
a
that
great
will.
job at it too. I mean, you just gave me an awesome compliment, so I appreciate that. But as well, like I think we've talked about that in terms of the partnership here. That there's a strong complementarian thing going on where
Mhm.
I'm pushing it and I'm saying, hey, this is what we should be doing, or these types of stories, or we did the Ultraman review is a good example.
Mhm.
And then you're like, okay, let's use Trello. Let's use this, and this. Let's notate this. Nothing. There's no ounce of metadata that has been dropped. It is all accounted for, and that's
Yeah.
actually super great. Like, we were laughing about getting our TikTok off the ground, and I'm like, if like a 10-year-old with a phone can do it, then the amount of energy that we put into like how stringent and routine this is for us, we should be able to
Mhm.
make this work.
Yeah.
But
Fingers
10-year-olds with
crossed.
don't underestimate 10-year-olds with TikTok. Let's just put it that
They were
way.
born. They were born into technology.
Yeah, yeah.
They were
We merely
molded by
adopted it.
it.
Yeah,
They were molded by
yeah.
it.
You merely adopted TikTok. Yeah.
But yeah, things are good, man. But I'm excited to tell a story. I think we should hop into it. We're
Let's
going
roll,
to be
man.
rolling on my board,
Yeah, I got
and
my dice pulled up.
we're gonna change it up a little bit. Instead of rolling for a prompt, we're gonna roll for a couple other things. We're gonna do
Requirements,
three
creative
dice rolls.
requirements you were talking about beforehand.
Yeah, we're gonna do a genre. We're gonna do kind of a character descriptor, kind of like an occupation.
Cool.
That we'll incorporate, and then some sort of requirement, and we'll see. We'll try our darndest to incorporate all three if we
Yeah.
can.
Oh yeah.
So let's start out with let's start our rolling. Can you roll for me 10-sided dice,
Let's do it.
please?
10-sided. I rolled a 6.
A 6. All right. Do you want me to read what we're doing as we go so you have the layers?
Yeah,
Sure.
that'd be cool.
Sweet. All right, so 6 for the genre is a romantic comedy.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
So open field, romantic, funny, silly, give me another roll. Give me a 20.
Whoa, okay. Here we are. We're rolling a 20. I rolled a 10.
A 10.
A 10 on the 20. Oh boy. This is occupation, right?
This is occupation. I had some help from some chat GPT on this, but a volcanologist.
Okay. A volcanologist?
Volcanologist, yeah, someone who studies
Nice.
volcanoes, I take it. Which is
I already have runway.
romantic comedy.
I've got runway. I know exactly where we're headed. But go ahead, continue.
All right, we've got one more. We're gonna do some random requirements. Can you roll me a 10-sided dice?
All right, let's go. Let's see. I rolled a 5.
Rolled a 5. All right. Okay, this I could actually see this playing very nicely. There has to be a point in the story where a language barrier causes conflict.
Hmm. Nice.
So,
That all
yeah, it's
works. That
it all works. It feels like
that's gonna write itself, man. I don't know if we need much more of an episode.
yeah, we're done, guys. That's it. We did it. It's Aloha with Bradley
Bradley
Cooper.
Cooper. Oh man, that movie sucked.
I watched it once and it was like I don't remember a lot about
I
it.
don't think
It
it
was
remembers anything about itself, man. Like that movie did not know what it wanted to be. And playing on like the most hacky, most rote thing about Hawaii, that aloha is hello and goodbye. It's just
yeah,
get out of here.
I thought it was yeah, I can't remember a ton about it. It felt like the writing was a little weird, but I do remember John Krasinski was in that movie and his whole thing was he was like a pilot and his like a cartoon character, he couldn't talk. Like in the sense that he just was such a macho man he couldn't express himself. So
Huh.
him and Bradley Cooper have an entire conversation with grunts and shrugs and they have subtitles at the bottom. And when that happened, I was like, that's like suspending my disbelief to like a whole nother level, you
Yes.
know? That they're having this cartoon level grunt and shrug conversation.
That
with
is very
subtitles.
much in a bad way, like Woody Allen's Annie Hall, where they do scenes where they have things subtitled, where they're saying text, but then the subtext is what's actually subtitled, so you kind of understand the surface level conversation and then what's really happening. So they're playing a lot with the form in that. So for them to do that, they're making a callback to Annie Hall, and it just doesn't.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It's funny because I like in a different movie, I like the idea. Like I think that's a humorous idea. It just for a movie that's mostly grounded in reality,
Yes.
to like suddenly have a grunting conversation and a shrugging conversation felt weird. It felt really weird
Yeah.
to me.
It's so dumb.
But anyway, this movie's not about Aloha. It's about a volcanologist.
Yeah.
Uh,
What do you think?
and
Male or female? I'm leaning female, but you know.
yeah, we can. Yeah, I think that's cool. I think female I'm gonna keep butchering this word, man.
Volcanologist?
Volcanologist.
Yeah.
Volcanologist.
Come on, man. You don't know what volcanology is, dude.
The study of wombo. First
Exactly.
grade.
Wombology. I wombo. She wombo. Yes. We have our wombologist. Yeah. So we'll give her a name. I think that's what I like about this format of going with some of these creative requirements, that you can kind of get some of these points out of the way.
Yeah. Let's get a name.
Let's go with
Name master.
Rita.
Rita. Like
Rita.
spell that for me.
Rita.
Rita. All right. I actually, guys, I don't know how much you want to know behind the curtain, but I've got like this whole little page that as we're recording, I'm making notes of where things happen. I ended up having to make a character names field because, you know, we make a lot of these and we look back and we look at each other and we're like, I cannot for the life of me remember what they were named.
And sometimes the names matter more than they do. Like some episodes, some concepts or whatever, if it's a story building episode or world building episode, we've talked about that, then they don't really matter that much. But other times you go to write the log line and you're like, man,
man, the man
with the
dog.
problem. Like that's really what it comes down to.
Okay, I think we need first. Yeah, so we got Rita, the volcanologist. We have some sort of love interest. I almost feel like she's not from there, wherever she is. I kind of picture Hawaii, but this could also be some weird.
I want to go somewhere else.
Yeah, let's go somewhere else. I
actually think you could play a lot with a few things in terms of like we could make up a volcano. We could put it wherever we want, as long as it's not like, you know, in the middle of Chicago or something. Even then, the movie Volcano put their volcano in LA.
Can we call it Mount Boom?
Mount Boom. No. This isn't a sequel to Kaboom, our romantic comedy that we did with our guest Johnny. But I like Pompeii a lot and Mount Vesuvius. There's also Mount St. Helens. Those are two real volcanoes. Both tragic, but I've been really into Pompeii. I maybe have said this on the mic before, but just in my own time, I like to study about Pompeii, how they found all the body casts buried under the ash and they poured the plaster in, and you can see these people, their last facial expressions. Literally, you can time travel and you can pull up their bodies essentially in the negative space. Is very interesting to me. It waffles a little bit on her. Like if she's involved with that, with Rita's in that space, then she's not really a volcanologist, although maybe she could be studying layers of ash and stuff like that. In Vesuvius.
I feel like what this movie is lacking a little bit so far is our weird stink that
I know. Okay. Yeah, here it comes.
And here, well, I was just like, oh, can we just make something supernatural about the volcano? Like she comes to study it and there's something going on within the volcano. Or it doesn't have to be supernatural, but there's like a criminal underground, like they're like bases in the volcano.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, like a Bond villain kind of thing.
Yeah, something like that. I think that is going to put it back in our field of like, oh, that's fun and wacky. And that's then true. There's the romance of she's there to study the volcano. And then the guy is a pizza delivery boy or something. I don't know. He's like, I'm here to deliver your pizza. And then they fall down into the volcano.
What if we went ahead and picked a title? And then we had to like work our way backwards. And we let that kind of define a little bit, like because we can just decide this. We're going very out of order for ourselves here. Well, maybe not very, but for those who don't know,
we do fast and loose. We're changing things up.
We're keeping you guys on your toes. But I thought Dormant is a pretty good name in terms of volcano terms. That sleeping giant, that type of thing. That doesn't have a lot to do with love, but I don't know. It could be
okay.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, where did Tommy go?
No, if we call it dormant, it's funny because it's just doing the reverse thing that you're very good at doing at the end of like tying like the theme. Because dormant makes me think
anchor first. Yeah.
Yeah, because dormant makes me think, oh, it's a volcano, but then there's like some creature that's like comatose down there that they're trying to like resurrect or something. Okay. Because the creature is dormant as well. Like he's empty or they're trying to like get into his mind or something like that.
I like that.
Which is like getting less and less a romantic comedy. We could still make it romantic comedy.
Well, I was thinking, what if it was a romantic comedy within a disaster film? This is a slightly different direction, but you know, like the movie Volcano in LA with Tommy Lee Jones and Anne Heche. It was on TV all the time growing up as a kid. That and Air Force One. Anyway, but you did that, but it was romantic. So like lava is coming to kill them, you know, and that these two people are thrust together and they survive and they like fall in love with each other. That's kind of cool. But you want to, I think you could have fun with that. That way we're getting into, you know, scenes of, okay, what's the lava doing? Other people who are threatening them and not helping them are rescuers or something. But also that doesn't have its signature stink on it. That doesn't have the StoryFellas stink.
Yeah, I like dormant. I want to put a pin potentially in that name because it has some potential, but we can erase it if this is written in pencil, man.
That's true. That's so true. The internet is written in pencil.
It's all written in pencil. I'm opening up a story circle just to get us started because I think we gotta find our you a little bit. I'm feeling good about Rita. I think she travels here. There's this volcano that's kind of having some activity. We're gonna name the volcano. It's somewhere. It's a fictional volcano somewhere in the jungle or something like that, or on an island somewhere.
Now the thing. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say. I think the things we need to figure out. We need to kind of figure out what she's about, her character. Does she take her job super seriously? What's her character like? And we got to figure out this guy. I imagine the guy being local, or the guy could also be traveling there. Maybe he's a reporter or a journalist or something like that. Or a camera guy, like someone is like more.
Yeah, like, more blue collar-y kind of guy. He's not in front of the camera, has a personality kind of thing. You kill that guy off, obviously. That's easy.
He's the love interest, though.
He's the hot one, the hot anchor or the hot reporter or whatever. And he gets just like, you know, some scene where he's just like, he says something really douchey, I guess, but he would be like, and this is why we have to go this way to survive. And then just a huge thing of lava busts to the wall and goes on top of him. And he just,
Oh, that's
Yeah.
funny. It's just like something more. I thought you were gonna say something more pathetic, where he just like gets like he's like just kind of a jerk the whole time. He's like, "Hey man, blah 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 blah," and the guy's like, "Dude, lay off," and just gives him a gentle shove, but he trips over a rock and falls into a giant pool of lava and dies.
Or like cracks open. He does the split over the crack. And then just falls right in. That's always good. You just see him.
He does.
Like
He does the
Schmeagol at the
Terminator.
end.
He does the Terminator, but it's the down thumbs. He's like, "This is bad."
No, actually, people falling into lava is a pretty good, because you got to think. You had Terminator. You went Terminator 2, and that's obviously like a schmelting. I keep doing the really Jewish thing, smelting, schmelting. Schmeagol. I was thinking Smeagol at the end of Lord of the Rings when he falls into the lava in the ring, whatever.
Yeah, there's a lot of people falling into lava.
Yeah, lava is great. Lava is very interesting to me.
Elaborate on that. Why do you like lava?
It's a substance that essentially it just has this otherworldly property to it. It's underneath us, and it's like a lightsaber, but like a pool. Right?
That's true. Yeah.
It just can melt anything, essentially. There was a Superman the Animated Series episode with Metallo, who is a pretty cool bad guy. He's a robot that has a kryptonite heart. And Superman's fighting him on a volcano island, and the lava flow sweeps him away. And it like hardens with him halfway in it, like this. And he's just thinking. And he's like, oh, I just have nothing to think about but Superman. And then it like just kind of goes dark. This is really cool, spooky. So something can be entombed, kind of like you're saying. The thing with dormant, I wanted to double back on that, because dormant implies a state of passivity. And if we want to do that with our character, thematically, she wouldn't be doing anything. That could be where she starts. She starts dormant, but volcanoes aren't interesting if they just stay asleep, right? So that inherently is kind of an uninteresting, and I take that on the forehead. I take that right on the chin, in terms of it was the first thing that came to my mind. But you like that direction though, like picking a term and kind of like shooting for it. But I think dormant might actually, unless we want to get ultra creative,
undormant.
Oh,
undormant.
That's so good, dude. Undormant.
Yeah, Tommy Antonucci original.
Yeah,
undormant.
There's lots of other
I get what
terms.
you're saying, because it's dormant implies passive. I can't say it, man. Passivity.
Yeah,
I said it. Yeah,
you got it. You got to say it with confidence.
It's been a long weekend, man. I'm tired.
Yeah,
I'm tired.
You're good.
Can you finish off this episode? Hold on.
I'm gonna take it. All right, folks, I got it from here. So Rita, no, does she want love or does she not?
I think if she's an actual volcanologist, then I don't like you. That's not a job that you're passively doing, like she's not accidentally fallen. And I think she takes her work seriously, which means she's here for the volcano. She's not here thinking like, oh, maybe I'll find love. Also, I'm here for the volcano. So I think she's a bit more solid in her pursuit.
I got it.
Okay.
I got it.
Yeah.
All right. Volcano is Vesuvius. Okay. And I got the stink. I got the StoryFellas stink too. Right. The other creative requirement was that there needed to be a language barrier issue. She's a volcanologist. She's studying ash layers, something really boring in Pompeii. And there is a Pompeian cast that she stumbles upon because she's studying the ash and they're finding bodies and they pour new things in there sometimes, whatever. And this guy is a ghost that comes back and he only speaks Latin. And he's Italian. I mean, he would be a descendant of Italians today. So there's a little bit of that romance kind of thing. And she's just like this dweeby kind of Velma volcanologist. And this guy's ghost comes back. Or maybe the actual plaster mold like gets up and starts moving around. That's kind of cool too.
I don't know how she's gonna fall in love, like how this love story is gonna pan out with this dead guy.
I don't know. I mean,
I do like the idea of this dead guy. I want to throw something out for like a potential love interest and see if it works, because I think if she's very smart, having someone who's a bit more reckless and dumb, that she is the guy, like some rock climber dude who's like cool. Bent on like, oh, I'm gonna climb down the volcano.
I like that a lot.
Down, and then I think that would be funny because she's kind of the smart, book smart person. And
Yes.
he's not like, he's kind of street smart. He knows how to climb and get out of a pinch. But he's like, I don't know what you're saying, but it sounds really smart, girl. I
So
like
you
that.
think that she doesn't speak English or he doesn't?
Or no, 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 no. Like she's just talking in such lofty terms
Oh, so
that
you're
he
okay.
doesn't
So you're kind
understand.
of smoothing that requirement out a little bit where it's like she has such.
Yeah, yeah. I was when I said that I was just joking. I was not really meaning the requirement. I still like the idea of some sort of ghost or something. It's
Although
just the
we
ghost
did
isn't the love
a
interest.
couple episodes ago, we did do ghosting, which is a
That's
ghost
true.
story with the love thing. So, and that was a romantic comedy too. So I get that. I get that. That just seemed to
Okay,
snap those
okay.
pieces together for
Maybe
me.
the thing that's like the mystery thing that's in the volcano has a language barrier between them. Whatever it is down there,
Okay.
only speaks Latin or it speaks just a unknown language or something. It's ancient.
Yeah.
I
Is it
think that
like
could
a
be
volcano
interesting.
god that got, virgins sacrificed to it? That's the
Yeah,
name of
he's
the
like,
movie. I
what?
got it. I got it. Virgin sacrifice.
Virgin sacrifice?
Yeah, and then she's unmarried, dweebish nerd girl, like and like legitimately, not like it's been played in like the early 2000s where it's like hot girl but with glasses, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but like legitimately like doesn't care about that type of stuff and ends up the spirit of the volcano. And that could be the thing too, is like the spirit of the volcano has a couple of love stories that start popping off. And so she has colleagues and this rock climber guy, and there's all these kind of intertwining love stories. What do you think about that?
I think that's interesting. I think it's if there's some sort of like being that needs more virgin sacrifices
Mm-hmm.
to resurrect,
Or to stop
because
to
that's
stop the thing from blowing up.
or oh okay, if blowing. I was
So you
thinking
play
it
with
was
that trope
like
because that's like a real Saturday morning adventure kind of trope. That the tribe is like, oh, and maybe there's a descendant of the tribe who doesn't speak English or whatever, but there's like locals, and then there's a normal guy who's maybe a rock climbing local guy, and he's like, yeah, my grandma says that if we don't sacrifice a virgin, then whatever. I think it's kind of fun.
that's kind of fun. But I was just thinking the opposite, which I know is kind of not how it normally works, but it is funny to me of this volcano god that's like, I used to be like, run things around here, but then they stopped sacrificing virgins and I lost a lot of my power. And then
Oh
like
yeah,
there's this cult that's trying to gather up virgins to
that's cool.
sacrifice and like
Yeah,
people are going missing because that's kind of funny. And then they're trying to be like, I don't know, there's like one of the cult members is just like at a bar and it's like, hey, you look like a virgin. Like, I don't know,
yeah,
trying to
yeah.
like make weird small talk. Like he's trying to find virgins to offer to the volcano guy. And
That's
then
cool.
that's the thing that these two are united because they're like, we have to stop them or they're going to resurrect this monster. Uh,
Yeah, I like
and
that.
they have to rescue. Uh,
I like that, and I think the virgin sacrifice thing it adds that level of that is the overlap of volcanoes and romance in some way,
mhm,
and so and then
mhm.
there's this good third act kind of twist where the love interest the relationship falls apart because she's like, you were trying to kill me, you know, you were trying to throw me into the volcano. Um,
Yeah. Well, I wasn't saying that the rock climbing guy is doing that. I was just like one of the cult members
that's right,
runs into her.
that's right. I guess I
Um,
tried to that ups the stakes though, like in terms of Romeo and Juliet, the Montagues and the Capulets, that they don't like each other. So those two
mhm,
falling in love is important. So this group that's trying to literally kill people, and then there's the
mhm.
group over here who's just trying to survive essentially. And so you take the two from that, and um,
Yeah. I think that's cool. I think that's also I think we could have kind of this love triangle where she meets the rock climber guy. Can we call him I was gonna say Drake, but we used Drake before.
yeah,
Josh. We were talking about Drake and Josh
we were talking
before
about
we
Drake and
recorded.
Josh. Yeah, Rita and Josh, that's fine.
Josh is the rock climber.
Yeah.
She meets him. She comes to study the volcano. There's
Hmm.
like she's meeting the townspeople. She kind of runs into Josh. He's also not that cool. She's not cool. He's not cool. And then she meets this really suave guy who's the local guy, and that's kind of the twist.
Mm,
Is like he's part of the cult, and you discover that halfway through.
yeah,
And then Josh has to come to the rescue with his rock climbing gear or something like that.
that's cool.
Um, I think that's kind of fun
He put a
because
net in the volcano.
Hey, I just imagine there's like cult guys. They're like doing their like little worship, and then
Yeah.
they hear like I don't know, Matchbox 20 or something. They're like,
Yeah.
what is it? And they look up and there's this dude who's like jamming like with his boombox, like climbing down the mountain. And they're
He
like,
just
hey,
doesn't hear them.
hey.
He doesn't see them. He's just doing his thing. He's just
Yeah, Rita's like, Josh, help me, help
yeah.
me. And he's just like, I'm not crazy. I'm just.
Well, I know that now. I don't care.
And then they start shooting at him.
Yeah, he's just and he like still doesn't recognize it. It's just like he goes to grab something. He's I think that's great.
Oh man, that got me real tickled, man.
I like that as an opening, even like this idea because it's very funny. Of that you open up on pretty cartoonish caricature people where it's okay. This cult, they're at this big volcano chamber. They get up in there, and maybe they're actually wearing those volcano gear things. That would be really cool, actually. Like the cool silver, whatever, and then they pull the one off of the girl, and she's just like ah. Although, why would he be rock climbing? I guess he's that extreme. He's
recklessly extreme, like climbing into this active volcano and stuff. Not really thinking about it. Man, Josh is really funny to me. I feel like he's a lot of the comic relief, and I think the cult can also be funny too. It makes me think, like they're not like they're goofy in their own way. Like I imagine if they are shooting, they're like. The cult leader's like, you guys can't hit him. They're like, we can't see in these. They have like these big masks on. They're like, it's incredibly hard to aim.
The bullets are melting. No, that wouldn't actually.
The bullets are melting. The guns are so hot. I can't pick them up.
I mean, maybe that could happen. I don't know.
Who left the guns next to the lava?
Yeah, they all get shot. No, I think that the playing on a subversion here, and something that I think is kind of an interesting idea is that the volcanologists end up being the cult. So it's they brought her there on purpose to kill her.
Oh, I like that. So there's like a different team of volcanologists, air quotes, and they're like, we want to fly you, and we read your book, and we want to get your thoughts on this, and
she's attracted to the main guy. You know, he's like a big to do in the volcanology world. You know, he's got
let's name him something. The main cult guy.
Okay,
he's something suave.
Yeah, I was gonna say Roy, but Rita and Roy. I don't know. That's not bad actually.
We could do Roy. He
can be Dr. Roy. Like Roy can be his last name.
Dr. Roy.
My name's Adam Roy. Yeah.
Dr. Adam Roy, the cult man, is what I wrote in my notes.
Yeah, I study volcanoes. Yeah, they're pretty hot.
It's a pretty good Patrick Warburton.
Thanks, man. I do that that's probably one of the ones I do most often in my day-to-day life. Oh, shoot that guy. Oh, come on, shoot him.
Can we have a young Patrick Warburton play?
That's fine. I think that's great.
Like him, Patrick Warburton from Seinfeld, like back in the 90s.
That's perfect. That's exactly who I'm channeling here is Putty. So I think tonally, I'm going for George of the Jungle.
Okay.
So that's where I think.
Oh, like the tone of the movie?
The tone of the movie, yeah. Like comedy wise. Like I think it could be that goofy. Romantic comedy type thing. It's been forever since I've seen George of the Jungle, but that type of character feels like he's fit in there and he's kind of just, volcanoes, they get hot. he's like smooth talking Rita and he's like, oh, volcanoes get hot. Oh, they make me pretty hot too. And she's like, oh, Dr. Roy, I don't know if I should be doing this.
Wait, is okay, so Dr. Roy is Patrick Warburton.
Yeah.
Okay.
He could be Josh like too, though. I guess that's fair. I mean, I was doing it dummy, like a dummy kind of voice. So
yeah, I think he could be either. Maybe he plays both people in this.
They're twins.
That's my twin brother, Dr. Adam Roy, and I'm Josh Roy.
Yeah, Josh Roy. But no, anyway, I like that. I like that. Patrick Warburton as Dr. Adam Roy, and Rita is a protege of his. He's a very famous. He wrote a book. Volcanoes are hot, and so am I. And he's got like ripped, Yeah,
he's like, yeah, it's his head on the cover, and it's clearly photoshopped. Like he's just chiseled, like,
Yeah.
or it'd be
Or it
funny if it
isn't. He's
wasn't.
just
Like
hot.
he's
Yeah.
just actually he's so hot.
Yeah. The world's hottest volcanologist.
I don't think I have a good Patrick Warburton, but he's like, they actually had to Photoshop me less hot.
Yeah,
They said
yeah.
it was too.
Yeah.
They said it was too hot.
Yeah. What is it? Random House Publishing. Yeah. Said I was too hot. I tried to think, what are some other publishing houses? That's what I got caught up on. Is like Penguin. Yeah, Penguin. That's one of them. This is the little penguin on the side, right? Like,
yeah. I know. It's just funny of like him saying it's like published by Penguin. It just sounds funny when he says it.
But yeah, no,
right,
I can keep doing the Patrick Warburton as we get through this.
Yeah, I'm sure it will keep happening. But
so she falls for Josh, or sorry, she falls for Dr. Roy, or at least.
Yeah, Dr. Roy. She like I think she's being helicoptered into this area.
Yeah.
Like you kind of get meeting her, and she's like, do we want her a little bumbling? Like she's not very smooth. Like she keeps dropping her luggage and stuff. Like she's very kind of dorky, unsmooth.
I don't know.
Like
I think,
or is it too much?
That's probably too much.
Okay.
I think she's just unnoticed, and that's why it works on her. That's why what Dr. Roy does works on her is because he sees her. Oh.
Okay.
He actually sees me.
Maybe that's
you're
her
beautiful.
need.
And he like pushes her hair out of the way, and she's ugly. It's like, you're so beautiful. You can't even lie about it. No, I'm not saying that she's ugly. Okay, it's just a fine line to walk, you know.
Yeah, no, I get that, but I think her need is to be, her perceived need then is to be acknowledged, kind of, and wanted, and like maybe she's like working on a book, and she's like written some papers, and she's working on a book, and she goes unnoticed, and she's trying to, not in like a full pathetic kind of way. I think we talked about Dream Scenario, the character that
the Nicolas Cage movie,
Nick Cage plays is like full pathetic, kind of sad level, but more just like she's like, oh man, if I just get this going, like she's doing the work, she's just trying to.
Yeah, that's why we like her, is that she's earnest.
Yeah, she's earnestly pursuing that, and that leads into when Dr. Roy is flattering her like that. That just, like you said, it just works. She starts getting swooned. He's like the hottest guy around also, which doesn't hurt the situation. And she meets Josh, and Josh is a little kind of bumbling. Like, I don't know.
Aloof.
He's like,
I don't know if he's bumbling. I think he's just more of like a surfer dude kind of thing. I don't think he's not smart. He could even be like, I'm a lawyer. I was actually a lawyer. But then I realized I didn't want to wear a tie every day. He's like, my whole life was wearing a tie. My whole life was being,
I like that,
was being choked out.
So he does like rock climbing tours. And then when he's free, he does more dangerous rock climbing stuff.
Yes.
And he kind of hints, and maybe they're both, I don't know if he's out of town. Maybe he's visiting too. Maybe he's not local because he's here. He's like, hey, I might see you there. I'm going to be climbing the volcano.
I think he has to be local, or at least live there.
Okay.
Because we can't have the audience know that Dr. Roy is bad, because right now we're playing him as if it's really obvious. And he's like, clearly he wouldn't be into someone like her. He's like, I'm an alpha male. Yeah, some people say I'm Sigma. I don't really know what that means, though. I don't like to believe in labels. I identify with the volcano.
So are you saying we need to hide that he's a bad guy more?
Yeah, because the way we're like the improv that I'm doing right now very much is like he's clearly manipulating her, whereas he just needs to be a character. I don't know. I don't want it to be super obvious when he ends up being the bad guy. That having some group, they're like, oh yeah, like the locals here they don't like us at all. And Dr. Roy is saying that because he's actually the bad guy. Like the locals kind of pick up that they're not there for the right reasons. And local women are going missing too. He's like, yeah, there's some sort of like serial killer on the loose. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like his one-off line.
Making him Yeah, if we're wanting to genuinely hide it, because he just feels like a villain, which I think in a comedy could work. I don't think we have to wait too terribly long for that to be revealed.
Yeah.
If we're wanting there to be a twist, which I think would be hard in this case, I think we just have to make him very business minded. Like he's the reason he's kind of semi aloof and not really connecting is he's here for a purpose as well, and he's very focused on his work. You know,
Yeah.
that kind of covers the him just being a bad guy generally.
Yeah. I think it can just be played for laughs. It's the comedy aspect to begin with, like how he operates and how funny he is as a character, but he really does crack down and is like, he maybe even rebuffs her at one point. You know, or he could be a family man. He could have a wife or something, you know? And so we can give him something that he cares about that that endears us to him. That way, even though he is kind of this ultra hot guy, and that would throw us off the trail anyway.
Yeah. What does Josh need?
Well, going off of the lawyer background, he would probably want something freedom wise and risk. You know, he wants to really feel like he's living. So maybe there's something there in terms of his love, like a romance thing, is that he's never really had a love story. It's always been work or this. And both these lifestyles aren't interesting to women that would want a long-term thing anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
When I worked for the biggest law firm in the world, I was working, 90 hours a week or something, and I couldn't hold a relationship. Maybe he was married beforehand, and he's like, and I don't even remember not being like when my marriage ended. It just came in with all the papers that normally come in, and I remember signing it, and I haven't seen her since.
I like that line a lot. I think that's really sad in an unfeeling way.
Well, actually, what's really good about that is Rita is married to her work. And Dr. Roy appears to be married to his work. And then Josh was married to his work. So we see a clear thematic triangulation happening about work and your relationship with work versus romance, kind of work-life balance. And we could play with that. I'm sure there's a million lines we could come up with about work-life balance.
Yeah, I've got a few little pieces I want to throw into the stew. And we can decide where they land, but I think they could be helpful. One is more of a joke that I thought it'd be funny because if Dr. Roy invited her out to be part of this study or something because he needs more virgins to sacrifice the thing. It would be funny if she's like tied up at the end and it's like, finally, we're going to sacrifice the final virgin. And she's like, I'm not a virgin. And he's like, what? But then it turns out Josh is, and then he's like, I guess I'll sacrifice this.
Oh, that would be funny.
They didn't have to, doesn't have to be a lady.
That's true. I like that. That's a good twist. Because he could be using some other supporting female characters that are on the team, the volcanology team, that like he would be using them to probe her and be like, let's make sure that she actually passes the test here. Like the profile kind of matches, but we want to make sure that she is, because the volcano god is fickle.
And capricious. And the other thing I wanted to throw out there was, I'm trying to think who the real barriers are. If it's Dr. Roy's, maybe he has a team, which are clearly we find out later is the cult, and they're like, hey, they're kind of limiting certain access to certain things and whatever. And then there's the townspeople or whatever. I think it would be interesting because what Josh provides Rita is like, Dr. Roy's like, hey, you can have dinner with me tonight. We'll meet me here at 7. And she's like, oh, man. And then she's like, has met Josh and making small talk. And she's not really romantically interested in him, but she is interested in Roy. And Josh is like, she's like, yeah, I can't. There's something going on. And I want to like see this cavern of the volcano, but I can't. And he's like, oh, I know how to get in there. Like he has the skills to do that. And then she has to be like, oh, he's like, do you want to go tonight? And then this kind of, you have like the friend versus the romance thing going on. Yeah. And then she goes with him.
Thinking she could get ahead in terms of the work.
Because that, like, he's just doing his thing, but she's like, it's super valuable to her. I think that
Mm-hmm.
gives them a really good excuse to be together. Um, because yeah, and then he likes helping her, and then he maybe at the start of the movie interprets her as like just what he used to be, and to a degree, yes, like just glued to her work.
Yes.
But then through the process, there's some fun and games, and like realizes, oh, she actually does love life too.
Mm-hmm.
She enjoys nature. Uh,
And
so
risk.
his
Maybe she
perspective.
she has some sort of risk taking thing too. Like they get into that chamber and she ends up like jumping over some sort of thing, like a lava flow busts in, and he needs to like they need to jump over it, and she's able to do it, or something where she can kind of he turns and looks at her, and I imagine like a slow motion shot of like her hair being blown back in like a heat wind kind of thing, and she's just loving every minute of it. Like where they're
Mhm.
on like a boat or something, right where the water and the lava are touching, and it's just
Yeah.
and she goes out further than other people would, and he just kind of sees that, and he's like, okay, this is a woman who lives on the edge, like that
Yeah.
actually, that's cool. I really do like the idea of the plot of um, a cult that's basically based in science,
Mhm.
but there's this deep spiritual kind of magicy thing underneath it that they run on these volcanoes, and so they would clearly go to all these volcanoes. It's also the easiest way to get rid of a body. There's no crime
Mhm.
scene. The
Mhm.
Earth is your crime scene. That's amazing. Like molten lava gets rid of anything. Nobody's gonna find you.
Mhm.
They won't even find a trace of you. That's scary.
Yeah.
And this idea then that they um reveal themselves, obviously because they're going to kill her, but that there actually is a god there. I think that's interesting
Mm.
too, that it actually is working. I think that's the StoryFellas stink, like this the kind of crazy level where the third act is the god possesses um Dr. Roy.
Dr. Roy. Okay, so the cult is there. We're calling them a cult, but they're there just to gain like some energy, like some natural resources, like something that's kind of illegal, but they're not actually. They don't believe in the supernatural aspect of it. That's what you're saying?
No, I'm saying it's real. I'm saying they're all very old, or
Mm.
something, like it keeps them young, or it gives them a certain high or superpowers or something for a limited amount of time, or maybe
Oh,
that they're
okay.
in service of this volcano god, this fertility god. Yeah, they needed to sacrifice virgins to keep the rains coming, and maybe that's it too. It's like we're descendants of these islanders, and because we're on some sort of island somewhere,
Hmm.
and this is a little like the Wicker Man, and they're like it's actually exactly like the Wicker Man, where this cult brings in this virgin police officer, Christian. Like that's the plot point, is that he's like a really upstanding police officer, and they lure him in to have a virgin sacrifice at the end. It's a very dark, very disturbing movie. Not the Nicolas Cage one. I'm sure that one's stupid. Um, and whatever, but the original one from the 70s is very dark.
Mm.
Christopher Lee plays the bad guy, but that's the whole thing. He's like, our crops are dying. It's like 3 years in a row. So the townspeople decide to go back to the old religion
Hmm.
to see if they can get it to happen again, like, bring life back.
Yeah.
Um, you could maybe, this is getting on to Zach's like stump speech here a little bit, but, or like pulpit here a little bit, but you could lean into like an environmentalist thing where it's like, we've sinned against the world. So
Mm.
we need to go back to the old gods, and assuage them, with virgin sacrifices. We've been communicating with this thing, and we got to play it funny. Obviously, it can't just be serious,
Yeah.
but that's like a serious tone, like reason for them to do it. Or
Hmm.
you could see how they could kind of whack job get there. Um,
Yeah.
and they're like, the volcanoes will cool the earth. If we realized if we communicated with the volcano gods that they would cool the earth down for us. I don't know.
I think there's something there that all sounds funny, and I think the tone and the delivery can easily make it all comedy
Yes.
because it's just like I like the idea. It's like, do you think this body just happened? No, it's magical volcano
Yeah,
magic.
I like that too. I like that a lot. And yeah, it's like he can even be a descendant of somebody who's lived on the island. I'm assuming it's an island again. Probably makes sense. Like something from Hawaii. It's gonna be in the Ring of
Yeah.
Fire. That's also a good title too.
I keep going to this thought, and this is kind of like wild, and I don't know if this would actually work with like the logic. And it's like we need, I don't know what their goal is. If they get a certain number of virgin sacrifices, then it's like resurrects this god. But like Dr. Roy getting thrown in, and he's like he's womanized so many women. He's like the opposite of a virgin
Yeah, yeah.
sacrifice. So it kills the god.
Yeah, maybe it pollutes it or whatever. Yeah, that's funny. I do think that him getting thrown in the end is pretty solid of an idea. That's how, if you're a head of a volcano cult, you falling into a volcano at the end is pretty poetic. I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's pretty hot in here. Ow. That's the thing with the Patrick Warburton thing. Is he's always so understated.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's classic him. It's just like he just says what's happening, matter of factly.
Yeah, I think Josh is a criminal in terms of, he hangs out with criminals. He like trespasses and climbs things, and maybe she sees
not like
I'm
bad.
stealing.
Like they're just like yeah, they're breaking into things that they
his friend group could, though. We'd have like some fun supporting characters that he could hang out with that actually are criminals, but we're good guys. Like, hey, yeah, when we do bad stuff, but we're good people. You could kind of play with that whole thing, and yeah. So we have a lot going on here. If we want to kind of recap and then.
Yeah, let's recap real quick. I'm going to go through this circle. So we kind of start with Rita. She's being flown into this island or jungle we haven't really established, but where the volcano is. She got roped in by Dr. Adam Roy, who is a very hot and very successful volcanologist. And his crew is there. He's spicy. And then he maybe is kind of rude to her at first, and then realizes who she is and starts kind of flattering her and flirting with her near the beginning. She's trying to elevate her career, and she's thinking this time with the volcano and this team will help do that. She kind of starts to fall for Dr. Roy. She also meets Josh, who is a rock climber who used to be a lawyer, hangs out with some criminals, some semi-shady people. They trespass. They do some adrenaline junkie stuff. And as she's falling for this, she's kind of discovering there's something hidden. There's something that they don't want me to see, but I feel like if I need to know for my paper, for my book. Josh is the gateway that allows her to kind of sneak in a little further. And then, so they're kind of searching along. Maybe around the find point in the story, she discovers, there's like these tablets down here, and there's all these plans of resurrecting, and this is where the missing women have been going, and maybe missing men too, unless we want to save that as a joke. And then that we find out Dr. Roy is the leader of this cult, and they have semi superpowers. They're bent on saving the earth through these old volcano gods, and he's like, we have to sacrifice them to resurrect them, and once they're powerful enough, then they'll fix what we've messed up.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
And then this is super the 10-cent version of the story, like going fast, but we have the fun and games. We have a Matchbox 20 fighting mashup.
yeah.
Somehow Patrick Warburton, not him, but Dr. Adam Roy gets thrown into the lava, and somehow that kind of voids the magic or something, maybe. I think we're playing fast and loose with it. But then, and in the midst of that, Rita and Josh start to kind of realize that they actually have more in common than they think, and that they're actually a good fit for one another. They complement each other well.
I love that.
And then they write a book. They travel the world and they write books about adrenaline volcanoes or something like that.
I love that. I think that's a really good recap. And yeah, I mean, whether they write a book at the end or whatever, I think that they end up together, of course, romantically. That's our romantic comedy aspect. And, go ahead.
I was going to say they travel the world fighting demigods and killing.
Yeah, well, actually, that's kind of cool.
Monsters.
Like, to be totally honest, I think he would have to have some of their background, something more believable as like a soldier or something. I think that could be cool, or some sort of. The only thing missing with this is the foreign language thing.
Oh, yeah.
But maybe we say the god didn't speak English.
Yeah, we could say that. And it's like there's just this weird.
Like she
That
just,
would be a funny. That would be a funny joke if you heard this like deep
yeah.
creature speaking a language, and they're like, so he's asking for virgin sacrifices. Like, you understand him? And he's like, oh, we don't understand him.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just like, but we're assuming that's what he wants. Like,
That would be funny. I did think of one more funny scene. This would be
mhm.
near to when she finds out that her colleagues are part of the cult, where
Yeah.
she starts to find out about everybody that had come previously and filled her
Mhm.
position. And that's like the big reveal at the end. And they walk in like, oh, well, now you know everything. Here I am, naked and bare before you. And he's like walking out naked in his fertility god, headdress or whatever. Yeah.
And that's the scene? Just
That's the
like,
scene. No, that was just along the way. No, but before he like interrupts her, she sees these pictures of all of the previous ones, and maybe something echoes in her mind of like, yeah, they were losers. They were, they weren't cut out for the program, whatever. And she sees like one is fat, one is in a wheelchair, and like, it's like she just keeps going and it's just like, and then I think that's funny for lots of reasons, but like, I think that's funny because then it's like, well, what did they think of me? Like, she's like relatively normal.
yeah, they just like her self-esteem. She's like, wait,
Well, and then he
wait,
walks in and he's just like, oh, well, looks like you already know. There's that moment I think in Get Out where he sees all of the older boyfriends, like the pictures of all the boyfriends who came before him. So she's done this plenty of times before, in terms of the murderous white family. So I don't know. That's what a moment where she's just like going through photos and it's like, yeah, these people, and there was a lot more of them than she thought. Like just a few people through the program, and it ends up being like 15 people. And whether they were virgins or not doesn't matter because they ended up dead. Like maybe they found out that they weren't, so they killed them. Yeah. Or maybe they all kind of look like her. That would be funny too.
He's like, so we take them, and if they're a virgin, we throw them in the volcano.
Yeah.
And Josh is like, well, how do you know they're virgins? And he's like, well, if we suspect they're not virgins, we kill them by throwing them in the volcano.
Yeah. No, I like that. He's like, if a virgin falls in the volcano, blue flame comes out. We've never had a blue flame. Something like that. Like just all of these people get thrown in there. It's like, don't you think that maybe it just isn't working at all? Like, and then he's like, no, it's going to work. It'll be blue flame eventually.
What is that based on?
He's like, why don't you throw children in there? Then it would prove it. And he's like, oh, I'm not a monster. He's only picking like grown people.
Oh, and then when he falls in, he is the blue flame. He was the virgin the whole time.
That would be funny, but we clearly have set him up to be
womanizer.
Because like I think that's the thing is that he has the very cult leader type thing. He's got all the women around him that work with him, and even in the village and stuff and abroad, he has this reputation that he wants to maintain this, and he wants to rely on the pure person to keep purchasing himself, purity through someone else. So he's got to be corrupt. I think that's
I like it. I think it's a fun story, man.
Yeah. So how does he die? Does Josh like fight him? Like what is the final? Give me what you think the final thing should be.
I feel like it has to relate to Josh's adrenaline stuff and his rock climbing. So I don't know if he sets a trap with like his pulley thing, and then he's like grabs him by the foot and like swings him and just like it'd be really funny. It'd be really funny. It was the most anticlimactic thing ever. Like he launches Dr. Roy and he just like immediately under the lava, and we just don't see him anymore. Like it's not like a slow
comes up.
Boom, boom.
I think them fighting, like physically fighting, would be good because you have the kind of powerhouse, beautiful looking man of Dr. Roy. It's like, I'm the perfect human specimen.
He's still naked. He's like,
and
put some pants on if we're gonna fight.
Yeah, and he's like, no, It's how it must be. And he's got like a big spear and they're fighting over it. And lava's spewing up behind them. That's cool. It's like Revenge of the Sith, when they're fighting.
Yeah.
And
well, then what does Doctor Roy's weakness? I think Rita has to help in some way in the 11th hour that gives that allows Josh.
It reminds me of like a Harold and Kumar joke where the like one cop is giving them a hard time, and I think it's one of the two of them has a dream about him. And he's like, he gets shot and he's like, oh, my one weakness, bullets.
I thought about that too, where it would be funny if she shot him, but it also feels like too simple for her to, but I don't know, maybe she just shoots him in the shoulder and it's like, oh, and then like that just gives Josh enough time to like kick him and he's just like, whoop, and just like falls into the lava.
Like, he could have a more of a self-inflicted ending where he pushes something too far, or maybe he thinks he's calling on the volcano god and it ends up just swallowing him. Something to that effect where he gets what he wants. But
he thinks he's impervious to lava because of his powers, and
we'll
but
become
he's not.
lava walkers. Them being able to. Again, I like the idea that they actually do have magic powers, but we can kind of just brush that aside. It works either way, really. But I think Josh ended up fist fighting him, and then them being stuck on actually having to climb, I think is probably the best thing. That they're on an they're on an even playing field at that point. Above some lava or nearby. It'd be so hot, dude. I don't know how you would do that, but.
Yeah, I think we're kind of playing fast and loose a little bit with how these lava rules work. Maybe there's something that they do in their research earlier. It's like, if this goes in the lava, then it's going to have a negative effect. Like it's going to kill the god or something. So maybe they don't kill Roy beforehand. It's like she like throws, I don't know, a tablet or something. It could be whatever.
Yeah.
In the lava. And then it's like, oh, you shouldn't do that. It's like as please don't do that. And then it's like then there's the shaking, and then it's like the volcano is starting to erupt, like the lava's rising. Yeah. And then Josh and Rita can climb, and
they escape.
And then Roy is like, he's like, this body was built for book covers, not climbing mountains.
Yeah. This body was built for book covers, not lava. And he just gets
melts.
I like that his body was built for book covers, but I do like him being like, I welcome you, shamalala, whatever the name of the god is, and then it just like the lava flow comes in and just totally fills the chamber and kills him and the whole cult. Like they just get killed, by the volcano. I think that's the ultimate irony, that the god would turn on them, and so then Josh helps Rita survive by taking her rock climbing. If they have to climb out of the way of the lava. I think that's cool.
I like it if the lava's like acting like all the people like he's climbing up after them that just eats them or something. It's like it dissolves all his other cult people, and it's like, lava god, have mercy on me. And it's just like a wave and just like it just melts. And they're like, and then Josh is like, we got to get out of here. We got to get out of here now.
I love that. That's really cool.
It's a funny ending. It's a funny death. Like
lava god, have ways. Mercy on me. And then like a big rock hits him on the head. And he falls down dead. Like falls off a cliff after that. Just like end over end. Lava god, have mercy. And it's like a big stalactite.
And then he tumbles, and he's just tumbling down the rocks and just splooshes in the lava.
Yeah, that's good.
That's
he like gets down on his knees and everything. He's like, oh, please, lava god, have mercy. I'm getting into my Elvis a little bit. Oh, baby, have mercy.
And then so funny. Like that's literally the last thing he says. And then he dies like 3 different ways. He gets struck by a rock and falls into the lava.
I love that. And maybe we can hint at it like where the lava can look like it has a shape of like a big skull or something, you know, like it actually turned on him. I think that would be really cool. Maybe.
Yeah. Oh man, I love this movie. It's fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like we've got a good solid movie, man. I feel like this.
Yeah, and we already have our title. I think Virgin Sacrifice is a good. Is
you think Virgin Sacrifice?
It's fun.
Like, give us Virgin Sacrifice.
Either that or Ring of Fire. You could go with that too. That they would be in the Ring of Fire. I'm sure there's a movie named that because it's like a Johnny Cash song.
My only thing is does Virgin Sacrifice give too much away if you go into this movie and it's like, oh, people are missing, or like, because if it's called Virgin Sacrifice and someone's like, oh, they're missing, the audience will immediately think.
No, I think you sell it as being the whole thing is that it's this group of criminals, and Josh is part of that. Even though he's not really a criminal, he just likes to trespass and climb on things he shouldn't. So I think you play it on those people instead. That it's like this seedy group that is always in and out, running things, smuggling, whatever. And it's like, yeah, and or you can underplay. I'm thinking the trailer. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm down for Virgin Sacrifice if that's what we decide. Like, the one thing I could throw out that, because I feel like, oh, it could be a cool title and it could be the name of Josh's group, is the Lava Runners.
No, that's cool.
They kind of, that's like, he's like, yeah, we're the Lava Runners. It's like, well, she's like, what does that mean? He's like we run, we climb, we do all the stunts in the volcano. It's crazy.
That is cool.
Come sometime.
I like that a lot, actually. Yeah.
Do you want to try that?
I like that a lot. Yeah.
With the Lava Runners or the Lava Runners?
I think and I mean, it can be something as dumb as like, what does that mean? He's like, I don't know, but it's cool.
He's like, we climb. It's like, why aren't you the lava climbers? He's like, because the Lava Runner sounds cooler. I don't know.
Because running on lava is a lot cooler than climbing on lava. You can't climb on lava. It's made out of lava.
He's like, I thought you were book smart.
Yeah. I thought you would know.
All right, cool. The Lava Runners, I feel like you've given us so many lines, Zach, throughout this whole movie.
So did you. I mean, I think whatever you want it to be known for. We usually like to go for something a little more thematic, but
there's so many funny lines. I really like the one I said was, this body was built for book covers.
Yeah.
Is really funny, but it doesn't really have to do with the theme at all. But I feel like you got to do this along lines in your Patrick Warburton.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Voice. I mean, if you want for that line specifically, or just it in general.
For not that line, just a line. Along the lines of like something classic. It could be something we said. It could be something new. It could be, you can do this body was built for book covers if you want.
I think that's him actually saying it too. Because the only line that I had written down was the one from Josh really early on, where he's talking about my whole life was like had a tie around its neck. All right. So I think to per your request, it being Dr. Roy's voice. So he's it's Patrick Warburton. And going to that moment of when Dr. Roy catches Rita looking at all the photographs of the previous people that they've killed, and she's seeing, a pattern. And they're maybe all up on a TV screen or whatever, and it's like 15 people and they're all ugly. So, Rita turns around, she's caught by him, and she is looking at all these men and women maybe, and is like, these virgin sacrifices weren't enough. And he turns to her and he says, well, they weren't virgins. Turns out ugly people have sex too.
Thank you all for listening to StoryFellas, a part of the Pemmican Studios podcast network. Check out our show notes for bonus material, links, and more. To find out more about our current projects, send us messages, and suggest ideas for the show, go to StoryFellasPodcast.com. If you liked what you heard, share the show with a friend. Word of mouth is the best way to grow this community. Until next time, go make and break those stories.